We will take one more example that is the most popular example for recursion, that is factorial. Factorial using recursion. In this case, when you are trying to find out the factorial, so on this side we will understand the concept that we all know that 5 factorial is equal to 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, and that is equal to 120. This can be written as 5 into factorial of 4. So wait. First of all, I will write it as factorial of 5, where fact 5 is the function. Because what we have to do in this case, we want the system or the function to call itself. So I can write it as fact 5. This whole thing. This is one function named fact 5. Now I want in fact 5, in the function fact 5, it should again call function fact. Then only it will be said to be a recursive function. So how this can be written? This can be written as 5 into fact of 4. I want fact 4 again to call one function named fact. How this can be done? I'm writing this instead of this, right? So instead of fact 4, I can write 4 into fact 3. Then fact 3 can be written as 3 into fact 2. And fact 2 can be written as 2 into fact 1. Then fact 1 can be written as 1 into fact of 0. Either you can stop at 1 also or at 0 also, and this is again 1. So you can stop here as well, fact 1 as well. So basically, if you see what we are doing, fact 5 can be written as 5 into fact 4. 4 can be written as 4 into fact 3. 3 can be written as 3 into fact 2. 2 can be written as 2 into fact 1. So first of all, you have to find out this type of series in any recursive problem. Once you have this series, now you can easily write the function for this thing. What this one is saying, say if n is equal to 5. So what I have written here, what I have written here is n multiplied by fact of n minus 1. This applies here also, but now the value of n is 4. Here the value of n is 3. Here the value of n is 2. Here the value of n is 1. Right? So this way, what I am doing, I am writing a general equation for all the terms. So I can write I need a function which is of this type, right? So I can write this program simply because factorial value can exceed the int limit. So either you can declare the data type as long as well, right? Here I am writing simply int, but it can be declared as long also. This is the name of the function fact. What you're sending as argument is value of n. What you want to do? One is the base condition. What is the base condition here? Base condition is the last one, this one, fact 0. What it is giving? It is giving me 1. So in that case, I have to return 1. So what I can write simply, if n is greater than 0, then in that case, what you have to return? You have to return. Here in the return statement itself, I am writing the equation. Or you can do other way around, that you can take some variable here, and I will write it. Wait. Then we have to write the else part. Else what they have to return? When n is 0, they have to return 1 simply. That's it. And there should be one main program for running this function. In this main program, simply I can call fact. I can give the value of n, int n. Either I can write int n is equal to 5 here, or I can ask it from the user, read it using scanf statement, and then give it to fact1. Let fact1 be stored in one variable, say k. So I have to declare int k as well. And then I can print the value, printf. You can write the statement also something here. I'm simply writing %d and fact10. Sorry, not fact10, k. The same can be done, this whole thing can be done in one statement also, like simply writing printf %d and simply writing fact n here. That's it. So this whole code can be written in a single statement in the main function also. Okay, so it is up to you whether you want this one or this one, right? So this is how you can write this function for calculating the factorial of a number. Basically, whenever you have to write a program for a factorial of anything or any other program where recursion is required, you write it this way, the way we have written. This technique is something like, if you remember in the pattern also, we have designed a method of rule 1, 2 and 3, where we were writing the values of I, j and their dependencies function, right? Same way here also, this is a technique by which you can easily get what should be the general equation for this thing, right? And once you know the general equation, then it is very easy to write the program, because mostly confusion is there in the writing the function. Okay, which function? This equation I am talking about. What should be the equation for recursive function, right? So write the problem this way and then break it this way till the end. So in the end you will get the base condition also, which will be required for returning the value, final value, that is the last value. And for rest of them you will require a function, equation or function, whatever you say, you will get it from here, right? This is how recursion is used. Okay. Now we will discuss one more very important topic, which is left in the case of arrays, else most of the things we have covered, that is the strings. Basically, what is a string? If I write a simple definition, a moment please. हेलो, क्लास क्लास मैं कॉल करती हूँ। कुछ अर्जेंट, मैं कॉल बैक करती हूँ। So if I write simple definition, then it is sequence of characters which are terminated. There is introduction of one new word, that is null character. What is this null character? I will just explain. And the second thing that you have to keep in mind is ASCII code of null character is 0. What is null character? Null character is \0. This is your null character, right? So what does this mean? Basically, you have used arrays, right? So you have used character arrays as well. So if I write char and 10, so the length of the array is 10. and it is of character type, then how you are going to enter the values? You already know this thing. If I write V, then I write N, then I write I, then I write T, and finally I have to write the null character. Why we require this null character? Basically, what happens in the case of numbers? For example, if you are having some array and you are having some values stored over there in array, then it can be easily determined that how many values you have entered. For example, if you are having an array of length 100, right? And out of 100, I am entering the values in only 2. If this is the case, say, I'm entering 1 here only. I'm not entering any value. So you already know that there will be garbage values in this case if you are entering 1 over here, right? So in this case, you know that you have entered 1 value over here, right? Then in all these places, there is some method by which we can include 0 as well. And we also know how many values have been entered in, sorry, in this array, right? But for example, if you're having an array of length 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? And I am entering VNIT. And I want to perform some mathematics on these characters, rather, we will say. Then in that case, I should know what is the length, how many characters I have entered, till what point I have entered the characters. So in the case of characters, what we do, as soon as we end the last character, we enter one more thing which is known as the null character. This null character uh, doesn't affect your string because it is having a ASCII code of 0. So it won't affect your system. But this becomes a basically, you can say this becomes a symbol of indicating that you have stopped writing values in the string, right? So this is an indicator to show that the all the values have been entered and there is no further value. Okay, so that's why we use null character. Okay, so it string is a sequence of characters terminated by a null character, right? So one thing is clear to us that this is null character doesn't affect your already existing string or whatever you have stored. One more thing, null character is not printable. Okay, even if you are putting a null character here and if you print this character using your program, then it won't print this value because this is not a printable character. Okay, it is not a printable character. We will see this thing practically. When I will share the screen, we will see this thing. I hope this thing is clear to everybody. So basically, now comes the question that how to define the strings, how we can use the strings. So if we talk about a simple program using strings, int main, then char, and 10, say we are entering V, then N. There are other methods of doing this thing. I will come to them one by one. Sorry, and a null character. Wait. \0 and then closure of the curly bracket. Then simply now the thing is this is directly we are assigning the values to the string array, right? directly we are assigning the values. There should be some other methods as well of reading the values from the user also in the case of a string. We will talk about it. But this is simple one already existing string we have created, and I want to print this string. Then the printing of this string is similar to what we have done in the case of arrays. Uh, Automatically backslash 0 will be taken, but in what case it will be taken, I will come to that. A moment, please. It will take 5 minutes. I will come to that point. For printing this array, it is same as we have done in the case of simple arrays. It is less than equal to 5, I plus plus, and simply write a printf statement. But now it has to be percentage %c and Ascii. Sorry, if this is S, then this has to be S only, right? This is a simple program, right? Return 0 and then closure of the bracket. This is simple one, right? So one thing is clear to us that we have to write the printf statement the same way as we have been doing for the arrays. Now coming to different versions, how we can print this value. In this case, I have written I should be less than equal to 5. Why? Because it is something like this. B N I T backslash 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. I have taken smaller ones because they are blank, right? So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? So when I am writing less than or equal to 5, so it will go up to this point, but nothing is written over there in 5, right? So it can be written as simply only lesser than 5 also. Then also it is going to work, no problem. But this is the case when you know the length of the string that you have entered. But if you don't know the length of the string, in that case, how you're going to get this value? So our backslash 0 helps us in this. So in that case, how we write this for loop is simply I is equal to 0, I, or rather we can write Si is not equal to a null character I plus plus. Read this carefully what I have written here. Si is not equal to null character. Till that time this for loop will run. So when it comes here it will run. 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 As soon as it reaches here, this condition will be false and we will come out of the for loop. Right? So this backslash 0 or null character helps us for this thing. For managing the length of the string, because in when we talk about the programs related to string, we don't know the length of the string, what is entered by the user. Because what we will do, we will define one string and we will ask the user to enter any length, right? So this is why we require a null character. Now this is second concept. This was the first concept. This is the second concept. Now coming to the third concept, we can also write this printf statement this way. Printf, instead of %c, you can use %s, which is the format specifier for strings only, right? And in that case, no need of writing the value as si. Simply write the name of the array. If you are writing this way also, this can be used, but this can be used for printing the values, for printing the string, right? But if you want to execute some mathematical equation or mathematical changes in these characters, then it is only possible using for loop. But if you simply want to print the string on the monitor, then simply you can write %s and s. Okay. So this is the next function, next concept. Fourth concept is I will show you all these results and what is the difference between all these things. I will show you. Now, one more concept which somebody is asking also, that here we have defined this as character as 10. Uh, this before that, first of all, I will tell you. But in this case, I will come to this point. Then next function is the puts function, which can be used instead of printf statement for strings. Puts function, and in bracket, if you put the name of the string, simply will work the same as printf function. But in this case, there is a difference. In this case, cursor goes to new line automatically. But in this case, it won't go. If you require a new line, you will have to use /n is required. Then comes the next concept, that is the fifth concept. Here is the answer that Athav you asked. If I am writing char as 10 is equal to, say, VNIT, this can be used for defining the character array or string. In this case, you can see that there is no need of writing each character in inverted commas. This is same as this thing. And in this case, \0 was required, but in this case, automatically it will enter \0 just after t. Whatever you have written, just after that, it will include \0. No need of writing \0 from your side. That thing will be done automatically. But some of the compilers enter \0 in this case as well automatically. So you may find some compilers adding \0 from their side also. In some of the compilers it is there, right? So this is about another method of directly reading the value. Then the next concept in this, that is the sixth concept, is, as in the case of printf statement, we have used %s. Similarly, we can use %f as in the scanf statement as well. So what I can simply write is, say, printf enter text. Then I can write scanf %s and s. Here you will see that I have not used and s. Or it can be written as scanf %s and s of 0. These both can be used. Why we are not using AND operator here? Because when you are writing s, in the case of a string, what you are doing is, say, if this is your array, and here we have written v and I t and \0. So in that case, the address of the first location of the string is stored as s. So what s indicates is the address of the first location, right? This is not a integer or character. What this s represents, this indicates the address of the first entry of the string. right? So that's why AND operator is not required here in this case of scanf. This is a special case of scanf where no AND operator is required. And if you want to write the AND operator, then in that case you have to specify that you are writing the address of the first character, that is the 0th character. If you will write something like AND S, then it will show an error. This is wrong, right? Don't use this way. Okay, so this is how we can read the values. But this scanf is having one limitation. Limitation of scanf. It can only read, it cannot, or rather I can say, it cannot read multiple words. What does this mean? Basically, when, for example, if I am writing VNIT Nagpur, and I want to read this thing using the scanf operator, so I will use one for loop and I will try to read this string, or rather using percentage as directly I want to read this thing, and I entered VNIT space Nagpur. So as soon as space comes, what scanf thinks is this is the end of the string. So it will stop taking the things here itself, right? Because in this case, space or tab or enter button, these are considered delimiters. Delimiters means where you have to limit it or where you have to stop. Delimiters. So how to get multiple values in that case? For that case, we have gets function. Gets, in bracket the name of the array, can read multiple words. Now we will see all these concepts in the program. Okay, there are 8 concepts to be checked. So I will switch to the screen mode. This is the basic program where the first concept. What does that first concept says? It says that simply you have to define one character array and you can store the values, and at the end you have to add this \0, right, to show the end of the string. And for printing the output, simply what you have to do, you have to use a for loop and %c in the printf statement, and you have to print using ci, means c0, c1, c2, as we have been doing in the case of array. If we see the result of this one, simply you can see that VNIT is printed on the screen, right? But as you see that \0 is not printed, okay, but it is considered as a space. If you will see in the Turbo C compiler, you will see that your cursor comes one space after T. It is not shown here because your cursor comes after press any key to continue. But in the case of Turbo C, if you see, then in that case, it shows one space here after T, which indicates the presence of \0. But it won't be printed. So that's why I said that \0 is not a printable character, right? It is not a printer. It won't be printed on your screen, right? So this is your first concept. What is the second concept? Second concept says that instead of using that less than equal to 5 or less than equal to 9, if you see this one, especially if you see this part, what we are doing, we are using the condition in the form of \0, that is the null character. So we have to execute till the null character is there, right? If when a null character will come, this condition will be false and you will come out of the for loop. Okay, if we see the execution, we should get the same result as we have received in the first case. No difference, it is the same. Now the third concept, that if we are using percentage s instead of percentage c and simply writing the name of the array, this can also be done. So it is printing the same value. Okay, so this is the third concept, that printf can be you can use directly percentage as the format specifier, or rather you can say the data format, and simply writing the name of the variable, name of the array, sorry. Then comes the puts function instead of the printf statement. So it will work the same as we have used printf statement, the same way it will. Now you can see the difference. It is going to the next line. So you are seeing one space after VNIT. After this thing, if you see, this is the space. So you are coming to the next line. While if I go to last one, if you see this one, there was no space after VNIT, right? So puts function goes to the next line automatically. So no backslash n is required in that case. Okay, that is the puts function simply. And in the case of puts function, no for loop is required, as was required in the case of earlier program, right? As in the case of printf statement, for loop is required, but in the case of puts function, no for loop is required. Okay. Then coming to the next concept, where instead of taking the value as a single inverted commas, we are simply writing the name or the top or the text, whatever is to be entered, and no backslash 0 will be required. Now, if you see this one, we have not used backslash 0, but even then it is showing the result. Okay. So directly we can define this way, and in that case, no backslash 0 is to be assigned. It will be done automatically. Coming to the next concept after the defining the value, next concept is to read the values from the in the form of percentage s using scanf. So in this case, you see that we are using percentage s in the scanf function instead of your for loop for scanf. For loop we have removed. Okay, for loop is removed. Only there is one statement using scanf, which is directly taking the complete string as a whole. No need of reading single value from the user. You can read the complete string as a whole, and automatically backslash 0 will be added at the end. Right? So this can be written this way. So if we try to compile this one, then it is asking me to enter the name. Okay, so now if I enter complete name, you can see what it printed. It printed only the first name, because as I explained that in the case of a scanf statement, if you are writing words with space in between, it will take only the first word. Why? Because in that case, space is considered as a delimiter, right? If I try to make a change in this thing, if I am writing and C0 and then I am trying to compile it, it will compile the same way. So as I said, there are two ways of giving the reading the values. One is simply writing C means the name of the array, or using the address of the first value of the array. Okay, because when you are writing simply C here, it means that you are writing the address of the first element of the array. right? Now, in this case, you were getting the value of first name only. You were not getting the second or the surname. So instead of using that thing, I simply use this one. No, this is the, wait. Scanf one. I'm taking the getC. So it is again asking me my name. So I entered my name, and now you can see the full name appeared. So in this case, if you have multiple words or multiple statements to be entered, for example, if you're having a program to count the number of characters in a paragraph entered by the user, then in that case, you have to use puts, not scanf function. So when you will use puts, what it will do, it will go on reading the complete paragraph, and then you can store that thing as an array, and then you can start working on that. Okay, so this is the advantage of getAs function and puts function. Sorry, I said puts function, it should be getAs function. I was talking about getAs, but I mistakenly said puts function as the thing. So this is the advantage of using getAs function here, that it is taking multiple words, okay, from the user. Now I will go back this. So this thing is done. Now coming to the next concept, that is the multiple strings. Because here we talked about a single string to be stored. If you have multiple strings to be stored, then how you are going to define it? So definition, if we talk about, then it can be defined as char, name of the string, first dimension and second dimension. So here we are talking about 3 rows, and these are the rows and these are the columns. Okay, so 3 rows and 10 columns. And for example, I want to store CSE, ECE, then Mac, then Triple E, and so on, right? So sorry, in this case we have to enter only 3 now, so I will have to remove 1. Sorry. So here itself I will stop adding the values. So I will write like this. So what will happen? This array will be created in this form. Each row will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we are having 3 rows. So what it will do? In the first row, it will CSE. In the second one, it will store ECE. In the third one, it will store Mac. Like this. Right? This is how directly we can give the values. If you want to read these values from the user, then in that case, how you are going to do it? Int main char as 310, then int I, printf, enter 3 departments, then a for loop, I is equal to 0, I is less than equal to 2. This is for rows, right? If you remember, in the case of arrays, we were taking one for loop for rows and one for column, but here you will only require for rows, rows. Why? Because in this case we will be using getAs function, so no need of using two for loops. We can use single for loop, and simply within this for loop we can write getAs function and Ascii 0. Why 0? Because you have to always start with 0th column. So, and this is the row. So row can be written as I, 0, 1 and 2. So I is varying from 0 to 2, right? And j is starting with 0, and automatically it will go on incrementing in the case of getAs function. Or this can also be written as getAs simply as I. No need of writing 0 and all. As we have seen in the earlier case that we were writing get as simply as we were writing, and other way of writing was as 0, isn't it? So here also one way of writing is this one and another way is writing this one, right? And what will happen? Your values will be read, and once your values have been read, what you have to do, you want to print it on the screen. So simply what you can do, again you need a for loop. Why? Because if you want to print all the three rows, you require a for loop for all the three rows. And simply what you can write, put as in bracket Ascii. Done. And simply the closure of the main program, right? So this way we can work on multiple rows or multiple strings, multiple rows and column string, or you can say two-dimensional strings, right? So there can be a program that you have four names over here which are stored in a two-dimensional array. Say one is Amit, other one is Amar, third one is Aman, and fourth one is Amol, right? And you are required to arrange them in ascending order. Or if you have seen the directories, how the names are arranged, or in the case of dictionaries, how the words are arranged, they are arranged in the ascending order of the alphabets, or rather we say alphabetically they are arranged. So there can be a program like this that you are having these names written over here. Now you have to arrange them in alphabetical order. So what will happen? These first two columns are same in this case. When it comes to third column, then two of them are having A. When it comes to fourth column, then N, O, P, Q, R. So N comes first. So this should come first. Then this should come. Then after A, what will come? I will come. So this should come third and this should come fourth. So this character array should be arranged like this. So this will be Aman. This will be Amar. This will be Amit. And finally Amol. This is to be done. So you have to write a program for that. Okay, think about it. Okay, so this is about the basic concepts of the string. Now we will talk about the string related functions. Many of you might have used, wait, many of you might have used string.h, hash include string dot h. This header file have a number of functions which are related to string, which can be used whenever you have to do some mathematical permutation combinations on the names or on any of the strings. Then in that case you require some functions. So it has a number of functions. To list a few which are popularly used, first one is strlen in bracket. You have to write the name of the array. So this argument is array name, right? What this is used for, this gives us the length of the string. Okay, if I am having one string here which is having vn it backslash 0, I want to know the length of this string. Okay, it is having arrays of length 10. Okay, but a string is up to this point. So what should be the length of the string in that case? So this function directly gives us the length of the string. Second function is strrev, and here again the array name. This gives the reverse of the string. Means if it is VNIT, then this will display TINV, right? Third function which can be directly used is strlwr and this array name. What it is used for? It converts all the characters to lowercase. Fourth one is str upper. Here also the array name is the argument. So it converts characters to uppercase. Then comes strcpy. This requires two arguments. First argument is the array name, that is this thing, and second argument is it can be a array name or it can be directly a string. Okay, so either it can be a string or array name. Basically what it will do, it will copy the content of this one to this array. How it does, or one more thing may come to your mind, whether it will delete the existing content or not, we will come to that. We will talk about it. Then next is strcmp. It compares two strings. So in that case we require either it has to be array name or it can be a string. Two strings also can be written. So array name or it can be strings. What it does, it compares the two arrays. And if the value of comparison is 0, it means these two are the same arrays. 0 indicates same array. Same string rather you can say. And the last one is strcat, which concatenate two string. Concatenate means addition of two strings. Say one is VNIT and a second one is NAGPUR. So what it will do, it will combine these two and it will write VNIT Nagpur. That is known as concatenation. So concatenates. Obviously, if it is concatenating two strings, then you require two strings. So you require two arguments here, first and the second, right? It has to be either array name or the string. So same, array name or it can be string as well. In the next class, we will talk about them one by one. If you have any queries till this point, you can ask. There is some question in the chat. No, space won't be counted as 0. What role I will play there when we use printf? I is in this case there is no role of I, right? There is no role of I in the case you are writing printf percentage as s. Then in that case, for loop and I is not required. Most of the cases, what it will I will tell you what strcmp it returns. Say if I am having the two. One is AMAN and second one is AMAR. So as you can see, first of all, computer or your program will check these two. They are same, no problem. They are same, no problem. They are same, no problem. But there is N and R which are different. So what it will do, it will take the ASCII value of N minus ASCII value of R. It will take this thing. So if computer will take the ASCII value of N and R, so whatever is the result will be displayed in the case of strcmp if you are using, if you are having dissimilar words. No, it won't return false. It will return this value. String is simply the character array. Yes, program files I can share. I will send it to your CR today. Okay. So I hope there are no further questions. Can we return two values at a time? No, 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 no. We cannot return two values. If you want to return two values, what you can do, you store them in the array and fetch the values in the array from the main program. Okay, so in that case, it can be done. Otherwise, you will have to, basically, it works on the concept of pointers. What you're talking about is based on the concept of pointers. Okay, so pointer, what will happen? Address will remain the same. You will make a change in the value, and the same address can be fetched from main as well. It is something like that, that you are having 4 rooms, and we are giving the key of the 4 rooms to you as well as to me. I am having the key of all the 4 rooms. You are also having the key of all the 4 rooms. Okay. So initially, I kept something over there in all the 4 rooms. When you came, you took those 4 things from the 4 rooms and you modified them. For example, initially there were the material which is required for the construction of some robot. Okay, so what you did, you took those material from the rooms and individually you made some robots and you placed over there those robots, right? Now those robots are in the same 4 rooms. Now what I want to do, I want to see those robot or use those robot for something. So I will go to those rooms and you take those robots from there and I can use them anywhere, right? So the same way, the same concept when used in C programming is based on the address. So instead of rooms, what we will do, we have fixed addresses which are defined in the main program itself. So basically, when you have defined, say, 4 addresses, what you have done, you define an array, and that array is having some addresses, right? So you have defined 4 rooms, and you have put some values in that array, and you are giving the key of that array to the function. Right, when function is having the key, what key, function can do, it can access that value from that address, and even it can make a change in the value and put something else over there. So function will do the same thing. it will make a change in the values and it will place over there. Now, because that address has been created by me and there is no change in the address, means function can't change the address, right? So if function can't change the address, the address is going to be the same. So I already know the address because I have created it. So I can use that address for my own sake. So as soon as I access the values from the address, what I will get, I will get the modified values. So if you have to return more than a single value, then in that case we have to use that concept which is based on pointers. Pointers basically arrays will be required in that case, right? I hope this answers your question, Manoj. No, it is not compulsory to have the same length in the case of strcmp. It can be of variable length. So in that case, what it will add, I will explain in the next class. If they are of dissimilar length, what will happen? Okay, so now we will close the meeting for today.